The reason I'm not attracted is because she's not being loyal. It feels like because I feel betrayed.
Hello there. It began quietly, with a line that shocked everyone in the room. Kody Brown looked down, his voice low, and said, "I'm not attracted to Robyn anymore." For years, she was his favorite, the one he called his soulmate, the woman he defended through every storm. But now, his tone was different. Tired, empty people close to the family say this confession didn't come from anger, it came from exhaustion. After years of chaos, failed marriages, and the endless glare of cameras, Kody admitted what fans had suspected. Things with Robyn weren't the same. He said he felt trapped in an image, like he was pretending to be the man the world still thought he was. As he spoke, Robyn's reaction said everything. Her eyes didn't well up with tears. Instead, she froze, like she had already known this was coming. Insiders say the air in the room went cold. TLC producers, who had seen every fight and every breakdown, reportedly went silent. This wasn't just another argument. This was a man tearing down the one relationship that had survived when every other one had collapsed. According to someone close to production, it all started a few weeks earlier, when Kody refused to film a segment at their Flagstaff home. He had told producers, "There's nothing to show anymore. It's not love, it's duty." That line never made it to air. TLC allegedly cut the clip, calling it too dark for the season's tone. But when you look back at the footage, the signs were already there. Robyn sitting alone, Kody's hand pulling away during interviews, the faint but visible distance. Friends of Robyn say she'd been trying to fix things for months. She reportedly begged Kody to go to counseling, to try and rekindle what was left. But Kody's words to a producer that day revealed how deep it went. He said, "I thought love was loyalty. But now, it feels like a performance." The question everyone's asking now is, what really happened to Kody and Robyn's marriage? Was it stress, guilt, or something darker that TLC never wanted fans to see? Because according to a source, there's a missing clip, one that shows the exact moment Kody stopped pretending, and Robyn realized she was no longer the exception. And in that missing footage lies a truth, so raw that even the crew refused to roll the cameras again. When the cameras stopped rolling, there was a moment of complete silence. Kody sat there, shoulders hunched, hands clasped together like he was bracing for something. Robyn didn't speak. She just stared at him, not with anger, not even sadness, but something colder, disbelief. He finally whispered, "I didn't mean to hurt you." But the tone didn't sound like regret. It sounded like relief. A producer later described it as one of the most uncomfortable moments they'd ever filmed. It wasn't staged, they said. No one told him to say that. He just broke. The cameras caught his eyes darting around the room, like he was realizing that for the first time, there was no script that could save him. Robyn sat back, arms crossed, whispering something under her breath. "You said I was your soulmate," she muttered. "You said I was the one." Kody looked up. His eyes were red, but not from tears. "I thought I was," he said, "but I don't even know who I am anymore." Those words hung in the air like smoke, and that's when something changed. According to one of the crew members, Robyn walked out of the room without saying another word. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just left, her footsteps echoing down the hallway. Kody didn't follow. He stayed there, staring at the empty doorway, completely still. What TLC didn't show was what happened next. When Robyn left the room, she walked straight into the backyard, where one of the producers caught up to her. The mic was still live. You can barely hear her voice, but it's trembling. She says, "He's been gone for a long time. I just didn't want to admit it." That line was cut from the final episode, but sources close to production claim it changed how the crew viewed their relationship entirely. You see, for years TLC painted Kody and Robyn as the couple who made it. They were supposed to be the love story that survived the chaos. But behind the scenes, cracks had been forming for months. Crew members say they rarely filmed together off-script. They'd show up separately, speak only during interviews, and leave without a word. At one point, during a confessional shoot, a sound tech reported hearing Kody say, "I'm tired of pretending. I'm in love for the cameras." He didn't realize his mic was still on. When that line made it to the editing room, TLC allegedly debated whether to include it. They didn't. But people who worked on that season say it was the moment everyone realized the happy couple narrative was over. Meanwhile, Robyn began pulling back too. According to friends, she started avoiding fan events, refusing interviews, and telling people close to her that she felt trapped in someone else's version of love. Insiders claim that during filming breaks, Kody would sit in silence for hours, He'd scroll through his phone, occasionally whispering to himself, "This isn't who I wanted to be." One crew member shared that at one point, Kody asked them to stop filming mid-scene. He looked into the camera and said, "Do you ever feel like you're living someone else's lie?" "It gave me chills," they said. He wasn't performing. That was real. When Robyn returned to set that night, her makeup was smudged, her eyes swollen, but she looked calm. She sat across from Kody, not saying a word. Then, after a long pause, she said something that no one was expecting. "You know what's funny," she said softly. "You're not the man I fell in love with. And maybe I'm not the woman you wanted me to be." Kody's jaw tightened. His face turned pale. "You think I wanted this," he said. "You think I wanted to be the villain?" Robyn leaned forward. "You became one the moment you stopped trying." The crew froze. They knew that line was gold. But they also knew TLC would never air it. It was too raw, too real. From that point, the tension between them was undeniable. In the days that followed, Kody started missing scheduled shoots. Robyn filmed solo interviews, often holding back tears, trying to keep her voice steady. When asked about Kody's confession during one of those interviews, she said quietly, "If that's how he feels, then maybe love was never the problem. Maybe pride was." Viewers never saw that clip either. TLC allegedly wanted to protect the tone of the show, but fans noticed the energy shift immediately. Kody's body language on screen was stiff, distant. Robyn's eyes were hollow, like she was smiling for someone else's story. By the end of that week, a producer reportedly found Kody sitting alone in his car, parked outside the set. He wasn't on his phone. He wasn't crying. He was just staring at the steering wheel. When asked if he was okay, he said something that sent chills down their spine. "I thought having one person left would make it easier. But being alone with yourself, that's worse than being alone with anyone else. That's worse than being alone with anyone else." That audio never aired, but someone from post-production confirmed its existence. Rumor has it, TLC executives debated for days about whether to release any of that footage. Ultimately, they didn't. But word got out anyway. Fans started to speculate online. Theories exploded across social media. Did Kody and Robyn split? Did TLC cover it up? Was this the real end of the soulmate era? Meanwhile, Robyn reportedly stopped answering Kody's calls for several days after that confession. When she finally did, she didn't yell or cry. She just said, "You told the world I was your forever. Now what am I supposed to be?" He didn't answer. That phone call marked a turning point. Sources say from that moment on, Robyn refused to film any scenes that weren't fully scripted. She didn't trust the cameras anymore. She said they only captured pain, never truth. But here's where it gets darker. In a private crew memo leaked weeks later, someone mentioned a deleted confession from Kody, a statement that was reportedly so personal. It made the executive producer stop the recording mid-interview. The footage was labeled, "Do not use." And in that confession, according to the person who heard it, Kody didn't just admit he wasn't attracted to Robyn anymore. He said why. What happened next wasn't supposed to be seen, let alone heard. The cameras were off, but the microphones weren't. Kody was still wired when he sat back down in that empty studio room. The crew had left for a short break, assuming he needed time to collect himself, but the audio kept rolling. That's when he started talking to himself, quietly, almost like he didn't even realize anyone might be listening. "I ruined everything," he said under his breath. "Not because I stopped loving her, but because I stopped believing in what we were pretending to be." Those words sent a ripple through post-production when they surfaced later. It wasn't anger. It wasn't self-pity. It was the sound of a man finally breaking through his own walls. He went on to say, "I thought she'd save me, that if I loved her enough I'd feel like the man I used to be. But every time I looked at her, all I could see were the things I'd lost." That line never aired. TLC executives reportedly flagged it immediately. One insider claimed it was too real, too intimate. It made him look human, and that's not the version they wanted to show anymore. But Robyn eventually found out what he'd said. She was shown a transcript during a production meeting, not by TLC, but by one of the editors who thought she deserved to know. And when she read it, she didn't cry. She just said one thing: "I knew it." From that day forward, her energy shifted. On set, she stopped trying to be the emotional anchor of the family. She stopped defending him during group interviews. During one confessional, she told producers, "He's tired of everyone blaming him, but he can't face what he's done. He wants to be the victim because it's easier than being honest." That clip was later edited down to a single line: "We're all dealing with a lot." The truth, though, was that Robyn had already checked out emotionally. She told a close friend, one who later leaked the story anonymously, that she'd started sleeping in a separate room weeks earlier. She couldn't stand the silence anymore. "It's like living next to a ghost," she said. Meanwhile, Kody was spiraling. He was still showing up to film, but crew members noticed something was different. He wasn't combative anymore. He wasn't fiery or defensive. He was numb. They said he'd sit in the corner between takes, scrolling through old photos of the family, stopping on pictures of Christine and Janelle, more often than Robyn. When one of the crew members asked him about it, he said softly, "They hated me, but at least they made me feel something." That was the moment the producer decided to ask a question that would change everything. "Kody, if you could go back, would you still marry Robyn?" He didn't answer right away. He took a deep breath and said, "At the time, she felt like peace. But peace can be suffocating when you haven't faced your own fire." He laughed after that, a sad, hollow sound, and muttered, "And now all that peace just feels like silence." Robyn reportedly overheard that interview from another room. She walked out before it ended, leaving her microphone on the table. You can hear her footsteps in the background, and then a door closing. The next day, TLC tried to lighten the tone for filming. They asked Kody and Robyn to do a family reflection segment, where they'd talk about lessons learned over the years. But as soon as the cameras started rolling, Robyn said, "I'm not doing this anymore." Everyone froze. The director tried to step in, but she looked straight into the camera and said, "You want honesty? Fine. I'm tired of being the excuse. He's not in love with me. He hasn't been for a long time." Kody's eyes went wide. He whispered, "Robyn, stop." But she didn't. "You think I don't know? You think I didn't feel it the moment you stopped looking at me the same way? You wanted me to be your shelter, not your wife, and now you resent me for it." The room went dead silent. You can actually hear someone drop a pen in the raw footage. Kody stood up, shaking his head, muttering, "This isn't fair." But Robyn looked calm, almost eerily calm. Producers later confirmed that TLC cut the entire segment. They said it didn't fit the narrative of healing. But insiders claim it was because what happened next crossed a line even for reality television. After the cameras stopped, Robyn reportedly turned to him and said, "If you're going to keep pretending, at least stop blaming me for the parts of you that fell apart." Kody's response, "You were supposed to hold me together." That line broke her. One crew member described it as watching two people realize they were never in love, just in survival. After that confrontation, Kody disappeared from filming for 3 days. TLC kept it quiet, saying he was handling family matters. But behind closed doors, Robyn told the network she wanted time off too. When Kody finally returned, something about him had changed. His energy was quiet, withdrawn. During one scene, he told the camera, "Sometimes I wonder if Robyn loved me, or if she loved what I was supposed to be." That moment made it into the episode, but not the full version, because just seconds later, he added, "And sometimes I wonder if I ever really loved anyone the right way." That cut never aired, but the editors kept a copy and it leaked. Fans immediately noticed the shift in tone. For years, Kody had been defensive, explosive, full of bravado. But now, he looked broken. His words were slower, his expressions empty. Social media exploded with theories. Some said Kody was finally being honest. Others said he was manipulating the narrative again. But the truth, according to someone close to production, was neither. He was just tired of pretending. Robyn, on the other hand, started staying off camera entirely. When she did appear, her voice was distant. One producer described it like watching someone narrate their own ending. By this point, even TLC executives knew they couldn't keep up the illusion of the last strong marriage. They began reshaping the story. More solo interviews, fewer scenes together. And that's when fans began noticing something odd. In recent episodes, Kody and Robyn were rarely in the same frame for more than a few seconds. The emotional distance wasn't just visible, it was deliberate. Then came the biggest twist. During a late-night recording, one producer asked Kody if he still believed in spiritual connection. He laughed bitterly and said, "Spiritual? I can barely believe in connection at all. You want the truth. Attraction fades when trust dies. And once it's gone, it doesn't matter how loyal someone is. You can't fake what's already dead." That sentence, that raw admission, was reportedly the moment TLC executives realized the story had gone too far for comfort. The next morning, producers were told to wrap the shoot early. But what happened after that interview never made it to air. A hidden mic left on by accident recorded the aftermath. Robyn had walked into the studio after he left. You can hear her voice faintly saying, "He thinks this is about attraction. It's not. It's about guilt." And then she added something no one expected. "He's not just lost attraction to me, he's lost himself." That line became an internal rallying cry for the editing team. They debated keeping it, But it hit too close to reality. TLC wanted drama, not introspection. Still, people who worked on the show said that moment haunted them, because it was the first time both of them were completely honest. And yet, there's still one piece of the puzzle missing. You see, during that same week, a small section of audio from Kody's private conversation with a crew member mysteriously disappeared from the archives. It was labeled Scene 20C Thefty Studio Night. Only a handful of people heard it before it vanished. And according to one of them, that missing audio contained Kody's real confession. It wasn't about Robyn. It wasn't even about love. It was about the one truth he's been running from since the very beginning. The real reason he can't look at her the same way. The truth about the missing audio didn't just vanish. It was buried. Someone in post-production said it wasn't a technical issue at all. It was deliberate. The file wasn't corrupted. It was deleted. And the label on the archived episode folder replaced with one word, void. For weeks, rumors spread across the crew like wildfire. Everyone knew something had been said, but no one knew what. The only clue came from a night shift editor who claimed to have heard a few seconds before it was removed. According to him, Kody's voice was unrecognizable, cracked, shaking, raw. He wasn't the confident patriarch. He wasn't the man trying to save his image. He sounded like someone finally breaking under the weight of his own truth. The editor swore that Kody said, "I thought Robyn would fix what I broke, but every time I looked at her, all I saw was Christine's eyes." Those words hit differently for everyone who heard them. Some said he was comparing Robyn to Christine. Others believed he was confessing something deeper, something about regret, guilt, and emotional confusion that had been simmering for years. But the rest of the audio, gone. And the next morning, the production team was given strict orders. Do not discuss or reference that recording again. It wasn't just erased, it was silenced. According to one insider, Robyn was told nothing about it. But somehow, she found out anyway. They said she confronted Kody in private at the Flagstaff house just days later. That confrontation wasn't filmed, but one of the nearby producers said they could hear muffled voices, tension so thick it was almost physical. Then came the sound of a door slamming and footsteps storming down the hallway. Robyn was seen leaving the house soon after, her face red and her hands shaking. She reportedly told a crew member, "He lied again." When Kody returned to set the following day, his demeanor was unlike anything anyone had seen before. He wasn't angry. He wasn't defensive. He looked hollow. Crew members said he barely spoke between takes. When a sound technician tried to adjust his mic, he just muttered, "Don't bother. No one wants to hear what I really think." But one producer pushed him anyway. They asked, "Kody, what's really going on between you and Robyn?" He didn't look up. He just said quietly, "You can't keep pretending to love someone when every day they remind you of your own failures." That clip never made it to air. Meanwhile, Robyn started to pull away from production completely. She stopped replying to emails. She stopped filming scheduled interviews. When TLC executives tried to contact her, she sent a single message: "There's nothing left to film." Her friend said she was emotionally exhausted. Robyn's always been the one who tried to hold everything together, one insider explained. But after hearing that audio, she realized she was holding onto a version of Kody that didn't exist anymore. At that same time, the show's direction began to shift. TLC wanted to pivot the narrative toward healing and rebuilding, but it was clear to everyone behind the scenes there was no rebuilding left to do. Then, out of nowhere, Robyn agreed to one final confessional. The network hyped it up as a reflection episode, but internally, people knew it was her goodbye. The crew set up in a small, dimly lit interview room. Robyn arrived with minimal makeup, her expression calm but heavy. She looked directly into the camera and said, "You can't keep fighting for someone who already let go." The producer asked her what she meant. She smiled weakly and said, "He told you, didn't he?" The room went silent. She leaned forward and whispered, "They destroyed the tape, but they can't destroy what's already real." The producer froze. "What did you hear, Robyn?" She looked down, her hands trembling slightly. "Enough." That clip was never meant for the public, but a transcription of it circulated internally within TLC, and eventually pieces of it leaked. Fans started speculating that the missing audio wasn't about Christine at all, but about something much more personal. Kody's confession wasn't just about romance. It was about resentment. According to one leaked memo from a TLC editor, Kody had confessed that he grew to hate the version of himself that Robyn made him become. He said she made him softer, more cautious, more careful. "I used to be bold," he said. "Now I second-guess everything. I'm not attracted to that version of me." Those words, I'm not attracted to that version of me. It changed the entire meaning of his confession. He wasn't just saying he wasn't attracted to Robyn. He was admitting he wasn't attracted to the man he became around her. The guilt, the image, the weakness. All of it made him feel trapped inside his own life. After that revelation, the atmosphere on set shifted completely. Producers reportedly considered halting the season. Some thought it would ruin the entire Sister Wives brand if that footage ever leaked. Others argued it was too powerful to ignore. But then something happened that no one expected. Robyn showed up at the next group filming with a letter in her hand. She said it was from Kody, left on her dresser the night before. She refused to let the crew read it, but she read one line out loud during filming. Her voice cracked as she said, "I don't know when I stopped loving you. I just know I haven't tried to find out why." Everyone froze. The cameras stayed still. There was no script left. Just real pain. After that day, Kody refused to talk about the letter. When asked, he said, "It wasn't supposed to be for anyone else to hear, but the damage was done." The audience saw it in Robyn's eyes. The moment she realized the marriage was no longer a marriage. Only a week later, Kody didn't show up for filming. TLC sent a car to pick him up. He didn't answer his phone. The crew eventually found him at the edge of the Coyote Pass property, sitting alone in his truck, staring out the window. When asked what he was doing, he said, "Trying to remember what I wanted all this to be." That clip never aired, but someone on the production team recorded it on their phone. It circulated briefly online before being taken down. Fans called it the most human moment Kody has ever had. Others said it was manipulation. But whatever it was, it marked the point of no return. In the days that followed, Robyn stopped wearing her ring on camera. When asked why, she said, "Because he doesn't wear his heart anymore." That line made it into the trailer. But TLC muted the word heart. By now, fans were convinced that a separation announcement was coming. But TLC executives had other plans. They pushed for a new storyline, something lighter, more controlled. They told the crew to focus on the family dynamic, not the emotional unraveling. But one director refused. He leaked an internal note to a journalist, revealing that an entire segment had been cut from the finale one, where Kody and Robyn sat together for what would be their final on-screen moment. In that scene, Kody looks off to the side, avoiding her eyes. Robyn asks, "Do you still love me?" He doesn't answer right away. He just exhales long and slow. Then he says, "I love what we used to be, but I can't pretend I'm still that man." The cameras stayed on them for another 30 seconds. Silence. The kind of silence that makes your stomach twist. And then in a voice so faint, it's almost missed, Robyn says, "Then who are you now?" He doesn't respond. He just gets up and walks away. TLC cut the scene 30 seconds before that moment. Insiders say Robyn didn't show up to set again after that. Crew members said the atmosphere felt like mourning. Even though no one said it aloud, everyone knew this was the end. But here's the part that few people know. The void file, the one that disappeared, wasn't completely gone. Months later, during an internal audit, a sound engineer reportedly found fragments of the deleted audio on an external backup drive. Not the whole thing, just bits and echoes. Enough to piece together a few haunting words. In one section, Kody can be heard saying softly, "It's not Robyn, it's me. I've been pretending so long that I forgot what real love feels like." And then a pause then, almost as if to himself, "Maybe I never knew." That's the moment that made one of the editors cry. She said, "It was the first time I ever heard Kody sound honest." But those few lines were locked away again. TLC claimed they were unusable, too distorted, too personal. The truth, they were too dangerous. Because if those words ever got out, they wouldn't just destroy the Kody and Robyn fairy tale. They'd unravel the entire foundation of Sister Wives itself. Still, whispers spread. Crew members talked. Insiders leaked. And soon, fans online began to piece it together. The confession wasn't about losing attraction to Robyn. It was about Kody finally realizing he'd lost attraction to the life he'd built. But the biggest shock, that might not even be the end. According to one insider, TLC filmed a private meeting weeks later that no one was supposed to know about. And in that meeting, Kody said something that made every executive in the room go silent. Because he didn't just admit what went wrong with Robyn, he admitted who was really behind his unraveling. It started on a cold morning in Flagstaff. The production crew had returned to film what was supposed to be a private reconciliation talk between Kody and Robyn, something TLC was calling the emotional healing segment. But Kody didn't show up. His car was gone. His phone turned off. Hours later, someone from the crew received a text message from an unknown number. It simply read, "Stop looking for me." I'm done being a storyline. By midday, TLC's headquarters in Los Angeles was buzzing with panic. The studio executives knew what that meant. He was walking away, mid-season, with half the storyline unresolved. That kind of disappearance wasn't just emotional, it was contractual suicide. When Robyn heard about the message, she broke down. She told producers, he's doing what he always does, running from the truth. But this time, her voice didn't sound angry. It sounded resigned. Later that evening, the crew found him. Kody was sitting in his truck again, this time parked miles away near the edge of Coyote Pass. No cameras, no microphones, just him staring at the empty land that had once symbolized his future. When a producer gently asked him if he was okay, he replied, "This was supposed to be where we built everything. Now it's just dirt and echoes." Those words, dirt and echoes, haunted everyone who heard them. For years, fans had called Kody arrogant, controlling, manipulative. But in that moment, he wasn't any of those things. He was just a man realizing the kingdom he built was crumbling from the inside. What no one knew then was that TLC was preparing for one last desperate move, something to salvage what was left of the show and Kody's image. They wanted him to record a final reflection, a confessional piece that would give the illusion of closure. But Kody refused. "You want closure?" he told one of the producers. "There's no closure when the truth's been edited for ratings." Still, after hours of persuasion, he agreed to one final interview. They filmed it at sunset, the sky bleeding orange behind him. He sat there, motionless for a long time before finally saying, "I used to think I was the victim, but maybe I was just the cause." The director looked up, startled. Kody continued, "Everyone thinks I stopped loving Robyn, but that's not true. I stopped recognizing her, because she started looking at me the way Christine used to, like she pitied me." He looked off into the distance, his expression unreadable. "You want to know the truth," he said. "I ruined every good thing I had because I couldn't stand being ordinary. I needed to be special to be right. And that need, it killed everything around me." Those words were never broadcast. TLC's legal team reviewed the footage and decided it was too damaging to the show's long-term image. The footage was buried, labeled as private supplemental content, never to be released. But here's where things take a darker turn. 3 days after that final recording, someone inside the production team leaked a brief audio clip online. It wasn't long, just 15 seconds, but it spread across Reddit and TikTok like wildfire. In that clip, you can hear Kody saying, "I'm not attracted to Robyn anymore, because she reminds me of everything I've lost." Then a pause. Then, almost as a whisper, "And I hate that she stayed when she should have left." Fans went insane. Forums lit up overnight with theories. Some believed Kody was confessing guilt. Others said he was gaslighting Robyn, even in his downfall. But the truth behind those words was even more complicated. Because what happened after that leak was pure chaos. TLC issued a takedown order across multiple platforms, claiming the clip was stolen intellectual property. But the damage was already done. The world had heard it. Meanwhile, Robyn disappeared from public view. She stopped answering calls, skipped her scheduled interviews, and reportedly told friends she was done protecting him. Insiders say she even threatened to sue TLC if they continued to exploit the footage. And then, in a twist no one saw coming, TLC received a letter from Kody's lawyer. A cease and desist. He was officially withdrawing his participation from the franchise. He demanded the removal of his name and image from promotional materials for the upcoming season. But what really set off alarm bells wasn't the legal demand. It was the note attached. It was written by Kody himself. One paragraph stood out. "You wanted a story, and I gave you one. But the truth isn't entertaining, it's humiliating. I didn't fall out of love with my wives. I fell out of love with the man the cameras made me become." The executives were stunned. They tried to negotiate, offering him double his standard rate for one last interview. He refused. "I'm not for sale anymore," he said. When word of Kody's exit leaked, fans were split. Some cheered, saying it was long overdue. Others mourned the end of an era. But the real story wasn't about fame or ratings anymore. It was about what that confession meant. Because by walking away, Kody had admitted something no one expected. His entire persona was built on denial. Behind the scenes, Robyn began to take legal steps of her own. She quietly filed paperwork requesting a contractual reevaluation of her TLC obligations. In plain English, she wanted out too. According to a crew insider, Robyn told one producer, "He's broken beyond repair. I don't want to be edited into his tragedy." ADLC scrambled. Without Kody and Robyn, the show had no anchor. Ratings were plummeting, and the network needed something explosive to keep viewers hooked. So they did what reality television does best. They went hunting for drama. Producers reached out to Christine and Janelle, pitching a closure season centered around rebuilding life after Kody. But Christine reportedly refused, saying, "I've already told my truth. I'm not going back to his." So TLC turned to old footage, hidden clips, deleted scenes, raw outtakes, and began piecing together what would later be teased as the untold truth behind the fall of Kody Brown. One editor described the process like reconstructing a ghost, and in that ghost, one haunting moment resurfaced. It was from months earlier, long before the confession, long before everything fell apart. It showed Kody sitting with a producer, off camera, saying something that suddenly made sense in hindsight. He said, "Every time I look at her, I see the version of me I can't forgive." That line was the key to everything. It wasn't about Robyn being unlovable. It was about Kody's own self-hatred. She had become the mirror of his mistakes, and the more he looked at her, the more he saw the failure he couldn't escape. It wasn't about— TLC didn't air that clip either, but they used fragments of it in a teaser montage, hoping fans wouldn't catch on. Of course they did. And overnight, Mirror Wife started trending online. Fans flooded comment sections with theories about Kody's psychology, his guilt, and his self-destruction. Behind the scenes, though, something bigger was happening. A former producer, one who had been with the show since season 1, leaked an anonymous statement to a journalist. The statement read, "The real tragedy isn't that Kody stopped loving Robyn. It's that he finally realized what real love should have been. And it wasn't fame, control, or loyalty. It was peace. And he's never had any." That quote spread faster than any official TLC promo ever could. And yet, even as the dust settled, one question remained. What happened to the missing audio? The full recording that started it all. Months later, a whistleblower within the post-production team revealed something shocking. The deleted audio wasn't completely destroyed. It had been moved, encrypted, renamed, and stored in TLC's secure archives under a false label. Season 20, Raw Master 7 Private. And within that file, buried deep, was the rest of Kody's final confession. It wasn't just about Robyn. It wasn't about attraction or resentment. It was about fear. You can hear him breathing heavily, his voice trembling. Then, almost whispering, "I built this family to feel powerful, but power made me weak. I made everyone believe I was the center, but I was just the crack holding it all together. And when I broke, everything else finally showed what it really was." A pause, then the last line, the one that no one at TLC wanted out. "Maybe Robyn wasn't my soulmate. Maybe she was my punishment." That sentence, raw, brutal, unfiltered, was the nail in the coffin. TLC executives held an emergency meeting that same week. The decision: the footage would never see the light of day. It was too volatile, too real. But by then, it was too late. Word had leaked again, and this time, it wasn't just online. Entertainment networks picked up the story. Tabloids plastered the headline everywhere. "Kody Brown confesses, Robyn was my punishment." Fans were stunned. The internet exploded. Some accused TLC of covering up emotional abuse. Others saw Kody's words as poetic justice, an admission that his downfall was entirely his own doing. But here's what almost no one knows. Just a few days after the leak, Robyn was spotted leaving her home with boxes packed into her car. Neighbors said she looked exhausted, but determined. When asked where she was going, she simply said, "Somewhere quiet." She hasn't been seen on camera since. And Kody, he vanished from public life completely. No interviews, no statements, no social media, just silence. But sources close to him claim he's been writing. Not a tell-all book, not a memoir. Something else. Something he described as the story no one was ready to hear. Whether that story ever surfaces, no one knows. But if there's one thing clear from everything that's unfolded, this isn't the ending TLC planned. It's the ending Kody created. A man who built his fame on control, only to lose everything the moment he faced himself. And as for that missing confession file, insiders whisper that it's still sitting in a locked vault at TLC headquarters, untouched, unmarked, but waiting, because if that final audio ever gets out, it won't just end the show, it'll end the illusion entirely. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real story TLC never wanted you to hear. If you want the truth uncovered, subscribe now, because what's coming next may finally expose everything that's been hidden all along.